I think it was interesting that Nick actually talked a bit about information governance as he was going through that, and that's our next topic here. And the term information governance has been around for a long time, and I think means a lot of different things to different people. A lot of people think information governance, they quickly gravitate to records management, but this slide is just to say that at OpenText we actually define it to address a pretty broad scope of issues, from information security, certainly records management, but privacy and PII and getting rid of stuff, and right on through to some of the legal-ish matters that Nick was just talking about with investigations and discovery. And OpenText is actually investing a lot behind the scenes in this space. In the last few years we've bought a couple companies, and we're doing lots of organic R&D as well. And just a little bit on that with extended ECM, it's been some work to, I guess, sort of modernize and simplify the interface to perform a lot of the records management functions. But this will lead me to a product we are launching later in the year called Core for Federated Compliance. And we understand that a lot of you guys have multiple repositories when it comes to retention management, and that can get pretty tricky in terms of viewing and controlling that. So with Core for Federated Compliance, we're going to allow you to take a kind of a federated approach to viewing and controlling those various repositories. Initially starting with controlling OpenText technologies and products, but in subsequent releases, other products beyond OpenText as well. And maybe a sign of the times. For this product, we actually started with OT2 SaaS cloud. So there is no on-prem version of this. This is actually built on OT2, and we actually think that's just a good sort of product approach for doing this function. And that product releases a bit later in 2019. You'll hear more about that. Oh, so we'll move to cloud now, and then this is a big topic. Cloud was actually infused in some of the other topics as well, but we did want to spend some time on that, and so much to talk about, right? So we thought we'd pick 4 topics. A bit of our view of hybrid. Then Mark will talk about what's going on with containerization and hyperscalers, and we're going to bring up Nick Carter. You remember Nick, and he's going to talk about OT2 SaaS. And I thought I would start with this, and this is going to be a PowerPoint build slide, but in talking to you guys, we see that your world is hybrid. So this is a fairly typical scenario we see. So especially with this group here, you might be starting with an on-prem ECM solution that you've had for years. Maybe you have a new division where you want to roll out ECM, but you don't want to manage the infrastructure yourself, so you have a private cloud instance there, maybe run by OpenText Managed Services. That group might actually have a Workday SaaS solution that they use. That other user base might have on-prem SAP because they haven't gotten around to the cloud version of their ERP solution. You see where this is going, right? You might have SAP SuccessFactors over there. We might have Salesforce on that user interface in that base. That SAP solution there might be fine archiving some of that data with our multi-tenant SaaS solution, our archive center, which is SaaS, but maybe the on-prem content, you have internal policies where that needs to be archived on-premise as well, and you've got capture in various business processes. And maybe this is my last build here. Maybe your folks are working with one of the hyperscalers, Amazon Web Services, Azure, one of those folks, Google Cloud Platform, to bring more and more of your corporate applications out into those types of environments. So, I'm not trying to make you dizzy with the bubbles coming up. This is just to say that it's actually very rare for us to see customers that are 100% on-premise or 100% SaaS. Maybe the time will come, right? We can debate whether that's 2 years from now or 6 or 7 years from now, but more likely than not, you have this sort of environment, which is why we view it very important to be bringing options to you guys, and options and integrations, because inherent in all my sort of messy bubble picture here is a whole lot of integrated productized integrations. So another sort of foundational element of where we're going with this is going to be containerization, which Mark gets to next.
Yeah, containerization is one way to go to the cloud. So if you look at the Microsoft, the microservices community, you hear about Docker and containerization. Maybe you have looked in Kubernetes options. And certainly we did as OpenText, we looked at these technologies. And we see lots of benefits of looking at your existing platforms, if it's extended ECM content server, info archive or others, to make that available as containers. And that has lots of benefits if you do that. So the deployment and the update of our software becomes way simpler. So when there's a new software version, we will deliver a container, a Docker image. You can take that, deploy that in your data center. You can even take Kubernetes. We will deliver ready-to-run Kubernetes scripts that you can easily deploy our solutions with Kubernetes. So there's no manual update anymore. You just, if there's a new version of the software, you take a new container, you deploy the container, it connects to your existing data, and the update is done. That's the idea. The second thing why people look at hyperscalers is certainly the dynamic scaling, because they have kind of unlimited resources. So this gives you lots of opportunity to scale dynamically according to your load. On-premise, you plan your hardware typically for the peak loads. With a hyperscaler, you can dynamically adapt to the load. If there's there's low load, you can have just a few resources. If there's peak load, you can automatically get more resources, and that is all orchestrated automatically. And the third thing about containerization and Kubernetes, it gives you flexibility where you want to run your solutions. And these are just a few options listed here. Certainly OpenText Cloud, but clearly also Google Cloud Platform. If you're looking at the news, you will see there's a new announcement, OpenText working with Google. It is in the press already. We will partner with Google to also allow you to run workloads with this approach on the Google Cloud Platform. AWS and Microsoft Azure are, of course, also valid options. They all have Kubernetes environments. So when we look at a little bit deeper into this run anywhere aspect, we containerize our applications as OpenText. We deliver Docker images. We deliver your deployment options with Kubernetes. You can give it to us and say, OpenText, please run that. But you can also use your own on-premise, off-cloud data centers. If you have a container runtime there with Kubernetes or using Google Answers or Red Hat OpenShift, you can certainly also run the same workload there, and you can even shift the workloads. And last but not least, you can do the same thing also with the hyperscalers. This is a new way on how to deploy software, gives lots of flexibility to move workloads, and it is really a game changer. So you have to look at it. And we as OpenText, we have some sessions at Enterprise World that elaborate on that concept. There's a breakout session, but there's also a deep dive that shows you hands-on how we in 5 minutes can deploy a whole extended ECM solution on the Google Cloud Platform with Kubernetes. This is really eye-opening. You have to see it. And from the roadmap, we are ready for that. With EP6, we have already our Documentum solutions or Documentum-based solutions available as container. So you can get that from iSupport the normal way. We deliver you all the deployment scripts. And with EP7, we will have that for our key flagship offerings, Content Suite Platform, the extended ECM products, Info Archive, File Intelligent, and AppWorks. So this is certainly something we invest a lot in, and we get lots of requests already from customers on that. Now let's turn to OT2, and it's a pleasure for me to welcome Nick Carter, Product Manager, OT2 Platform on stage. And Nick is a good old friend, and he looked after Content Suite Platform before, so he's the best person to explain to you how OT2 benefits you the best. So Nick, please take it from here.
Great, thanks Mark, appreciate it. So thank you, first of all, thank you for inviting me on stage. There seems to be an awful lot of Brits here, and so anybody think there was trouble at home or something, and so we've all immigrated to Canada anyway. Thank you for having us, we love to be here. So my name is Nick Carter, so I used to be, many of you probably remember me, I was the head of product management for Content Services for about 7 years. And then you may have heard about something called OT2, so it turned into, so when we acquired Documentum, about 3 years ago. They had a platform called Leap, which you heard about, and then that turned into Banff, and that was about 2 years ago, and that turned into OT2. So I was offered the opportunity to essentially go and build and rebuild a lot of the services that we have, but for pure software as a service. So to deliver it on this OT2 platform, which means that we can't take all our existing technology and just stick it in containers, although that's great. What Mark was just talking about is all great, and it works, and it's very quick to deploy and manage. We love it. But we also understand that as people wish to buy software, they actually wish to buy a service. So you don't want to worry about upgrading, you don't want to worry about deployment problems, all those kinds of things. You would like us to take care of those. And that's what SaaS is about. So the OT2 platform, the OT2 portfolio, you will see a lot of applications. We saw one today with core capture. I think you're going to see another one a little bit later today. Is the foundation, we are building OT2 as a foundation to deliver SaaS applications. An example that you will see talked about a lot, based on services that we deploy, that we actually deliver on the OT2 platform. So we have a content service, a metadata service, an audit service, a search service. It all sounds quite familiar, right? We also have a capture service. We have an archiving service, and then we have document generation. So we're bringing all the services, all the capabilities that you would normally expect that you need to build EIM applications onto the OT2 platform. And so we have built and we have delivered applications, and so core for OpenText Core for SAP SuccessFactors is one of the first ones where we deliver the content integration with SuccessFactors, but on the OT2 platform. Another thing that you'll see us talk about is we don't just want to deliver software, but we also want to, or services, we want to deliver a developer experience. And so we have a significant focus. So last year you saw the beginnings of what that developer experience might look like. This year, what OT2 is not just a set of services, but it's a set of APIs that can be used by developers to build applications, either OpenText or partners or customers. And so you're seeing the first of that. You can go to our developer lab and you can actually try it yourself. You can build it yourself. And we have a partner here who's also started building OT2 applications, so pure SaaS native applications on the OT2 platform. So the message I think I want to get over is that the platform is here today. It's very, very strategic for OpenText. We're building a lot on it, and so I think Mark showed we've got over 30 services that we've already delivered. We've got 7 applications on this platform. The core for federated compliance that he talked about is, of course, one of the things that's dearest to our hearts, because compliance is one of the differentiators for OpenText. But there are so many more things coming. So the platform with enhanced content and storage services, the applications, so some new applications, so for those in the experience area, so the customer engagement management, the customer experience management part of our business. So there's a cloud native experience insight where we're collecting all the events and then giving you insight into the customer journey, the way that your customers are interacting with your organization. That's being built on this platform. Life sciences apps, building information management, and there are so many more coming. And then last but not least, the developer, and we're working on how we're going to bring partners and of course then allowing customers to develop on the platform too. So there is, after this, a whole 90 minutes on this. So we're going to go into great detail as to what OT2 actually is. It's on the other side of the building. And we will talk to you about content services, about how we manage, about how we onboard people, about the developer experience. And then we'll have Peter Anktil, who built the core for federated compliance, talking about the experience of actually using and delivering applications on the platform. We'd love you to come. Thank you so much for listening. OT2, it's wonderful. It's part of our content services strategy. Mark, thanks for letting me talk about it.
Thank you, Nick. That was great. So you heard about OT2, you heard about containerization, hyperscalers. So how does it all come together? What we offer you today and with EP7 is containerized platforms, as I talked about before. So Content Suite, Extended ECM, Documentum, D2, Info Archive, they will all be available as Docker images and containers. So you can immediately make use of that in the data center of your choice. When we look at OT2, it is a platform. Nick Nick introduced the platform to you, but OT2 also has immediate value to you today. If you run one of these platforms, you can use OT2 services today to enrich and enhance your existing solutions. You can use the core collaboration together with Content Suite, together with Documentum. Nick mentioned federated compliance. You can use this OT2 service and connect it with Documentum and Content Suite platform. We have core capture that we have seen in the other demo. Also, this can be connected to your existing solutions, if it is Content Server, Extended ECM, or Documentum. And even the archiving, you can move that to OT2 with core archiving, but still connect it to your repositories on-premise. So all the different variants that Fred talked about are becoming available. So OT2 is a platform, but OT2 is also the next level to enrich your existing solutions with value-adding services in the cloud. And if we want to span that even further, we can look at the hyperscalers. They have great platforms to scale according to your load, but they also deliver value-adding services. So Google has, for example, a translation service that we will see later today in a demo that can be integrated with InfoArchive, for example, or with Content Server or with a Brava viewer. And Microsoft and AWS have also interesting services. This is the power of the cloud. Services can be orchestrated across vendor landscapes, and you can basically take a best-of-breed approach and integrate these services, OT2 and hyperscalers. And that is the true game-changing nature of the cloud.
Thank you. Well, yeah, thanks, Mark. And as we wind down, just want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. And we work with a lot of customers, and we do see sort of attributes that separate the ones that are more successful with their content management systems. Definitely the ones that are user-focused, looking for automation opportunities, have roadmaps for where they're going, partake in upgrades, don't get themselves 5 or 6 years behind, attend user groups, and just generally think of VCM as a strategic lever. Everyone's at a different stage in their evolution, but for us, it's sort of a composite of someone who's really getting it right. So something to think about. I do want to thank the customers that are speaking in the track this week. We got 12 of them, and here are their company names, and it's above and beyond the Call of Duty. So appreciate that, and thank you everybody for attending, and enjoy the week. Appreciate it.
Thank you.